Hello and welcome back to my look at the inaugural class of NASCAR Next in 2011. In the first part of this little mini-series, we look back at the careers of Alex Bowman, Matt DiBenedetto, and Dylan Kwasniewski. Now that's only 3 of the 9 drivers who were in that class, and now it's time to look at the next 3, and we'll start off with Mr. Corey Lajoie. Corey Lajoie, like many who have followed in later classes of NASCAR Next, is a second-generation driver with a father who was once a champion of NASCAR 2 times in Randy Lajoie. The Lajoie family name has also been famous in the stock car racing world due in part to the family business of producing high-quality American-made racing seats. In 2011, when added into NASCAR Next, Corey was racing the number 07 for his father's racing team, which compared to a lot of the other teams these NASCAR Next drivers were racing with, may not have had quite as good of equipment. However, Lajoie was still able to get some good runs in for the team, even capturing a pole award in a race at Greenville-Pickens Speedway, and he would capture 6 top 10s with 4 top 5s in 2011, with a best finish of 2nd coming at Bowman Gray Stadium. Then in 2012, Lajoie and his father's team would make a return in the K&N East Series, having arguably a much improved season in 07, capturing 10 top 10s, all of which were top 5s. Also for Lajoie in 2012, he would win 5 times and finish either 1st or 2nd a total of 8 times, resulting in Lajoie finishing 2nd in 2012, just 14 points behind 2012 champion Kyle Larson, who had fewer wins but more top 10s and a better average finish, just barely over Lajoie. Yeah, I know, it's kind of awkward now who beat Lajoie, isn't it? Then in 2013, Lajoie would not have anything full-time lined up, but he would compete in multiple series at that point, getting the chance to advance his racing career, making 2 K&N East starts, 5 ARCA starts, which would become 4 top 5s, and 3 victories for Lajoie, driving in a number 17 Ford owned under his father's name. And at the Nationwide Series finale in Homestead, Lajoie would make his Nationwide Series debut in Richard Petty Motorsports number 9 car, finishing in 34th place after starting 20th. Then in 2014, he would once again not have a full-time deal lined up. However, he would once again get to race in the higher series of NASCAR, even running 2 races in the Cup Series for Randy Humphrey's 77 Ford. Then in 2015, Lajoie had a slow year, making 1 K&N East start at Dover, finishing 7th, and he made 2 modified starts in 2015, both at Thompson Speedway, finishing 28th and 14th after starting 3rd and 4th in these events. In 2016, Lajoie found himself back in the Xfinity Series action in 10 races in the 24 car, where he would score 2 top 10s, including a best finish of 6th. And then finally in 2017, he would land essentially a full-time role in the Cup Series, driving what many may call field filler cars, such as his 2017 run for BK Racing, his 2018 races for TriStar Motorsports, and when Matt DiBenedetto left Go Fast Racing after 2018, Lajoie has found a home driving for the 32 team, and earlier this year, the team along with RCR partnered with Motor Trend and NASCAR Productions to create a multi-part series documenting their path to the 2020 Daytona 500, in which Lajoie found himself contending for the win, but ultimately would be the one to smash into a flipping Ryan Newman head-on at nearly 200 miles per hour. As scary as that night was, it did result in the team having a top 10 in these first few races that we have seen in 2020, and we would all love to see what Lajoie can do as this season progresses. And I'd like to throw this out there too. Corey Lajoie is a part of a pretty successful podcast called Sunday Money, alongside his great friends in Daryl Mott and Lauren Fox. I highly recommend checking it out. They've had on my good friend Eric Eastep in the past, and personally, I'd love to join him as a guest as well. And now, having talked about Corey Lajoie, a name that most of you guys probably do still recognize today, let's talk about a guy you probably don't recognize anymore, Louise Martinez Jr. So for Louise here, I'll be honest, I can't find much on him other than his racing reference page. Hailing from Long Beach, California, when Martinez was welcomed into NASCAR Next, he had just come off a 2010 K&N West Series season that saw him score 1 pole award, 8 top 10s, and 3 top 5s, racing for Bob Bruncotti's number 6 car with the support of King Taco, Sunrise Ford, and Lucas Oil. And afterwards, in 2011, he would return to drive the same car in the same series, where he would capture 1 pole award at Portland, 9 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and on the day that he got his pole award at Portland, he would go on to capture his one and only NASCAR victory in this race. Aside from his one and only victory in NASCAR, Martinez would also compete in a total of 3 Nationwide Series races in 2011 for Archie St. Hilaire's number 39 car with King Taco as a sponsor, in which his best finish was 19th at Montreal. And after 2011, he would disappear from NASCAR altogether. If anyone knows any more of what became of Martinez, please let me know down in the comments below. And now for the last one of part 2, this is a guy that many of you fans today should know very well. Let's talk about Mr. Brett Moffitt. This guy has had quite possibly the definition of an up and down career. It started off on a high as he was a highly regarded talent in the Toyota Racing Development Program when he was brought into NASCAR Next. Getting his start in NASCAR's K&N East Division, Moffitt already had 4 victories in the series from the first 2 years before 2011. And in 2011, he was racing for Michael Waltrip Racing in the K&N East Series as a Toyota development driver, in which he would score a total of 3 victories, leading to a 3rd place finish in the standings. Then in 2012, Moffitt would change teams yet again. He went on to race in the K&N East Series in 2012 for Hattori Racing Enterprises owned by Shigeaki Hattori. However, the way this deal ended is kind of ironic considering how his next run of Hattori would end as well. Moffitt would win 3 races for the team in 2012. However, despite leading the point standings after the first 9 races of the season, the team still struggled to bring in sponsors, and for the last remaining races in 2012, HRE fielded cars through Michael Waltrip Racing, and Moffitt very nearly won a championship that season as well, but on the final lap of the final race, Moffitt would make contact with Tyler Reddick, who would go on to win the race, as Moffitt ended with a crashed race car, losing the championship to Kyle Larson and finishing 3rd in the standings, with Corey Lajoie taking 2nd. Despite sponsorship concerns, Moffitt would return to drive for HRE in the East Series in 2013, scoring 5 top 5s and 10 top 10s, but without a victory, he'd once again finish runner-up in the series standings. After 2013, it was time for Moffitt to graduate from the series and climb up the racing ladder. 5 seasons in the K&N division, resulting in 9 victories, 3 third-place series finishes, and 2 runner-ups, meant that he knew how to wheel a stock car. It was just a matter of finding where he best fit in. Prior to 2014, Moffitt had already made 2 truck races in 2013 and 1 nationwide series start in 2012, but he hadn't been able to land a deal in these series. Instead, though, Moffitt would sign on in 2014 with Michael Waltrip Racing as a test driver, which would lead to the opportunity to drive a limited schedule for MWR affiliated team Identity Ventures Racing in 7 races in the Cup Series. Then in 2015, Moffitt would race in the 2nd race of the season at Atlanta in the 55 Aaron's Dream Machine after Michael Waltrip raced at Daytona due to Brian Vickers having off-season surgery to repair a patch placed over a hole in his heart. Moffitt drove a great race in Atlanta, leading 1 lap, spending a lot of time in the top 10, and eventually would finish in 8th place in his one and only top 10 in the Cup Series. After Atlanta, Vickers returned to the 55 car, but with Front Row Motorsports regular David Reagan substituting for an injured Kyle Busch, the number 34 car needed a driver, and in came Brett Moffitt to drive at Las Vegas. However, just 2 races later, Vickers would be sidelined once more, meaning that Michael Waltrip Racing would need Moffitt back in the 55 car. So he came back to the Aaron's Dream Machine, but he would consistently finish in the 20s and 30s. And then after Talladega, when Kyle Busch was cleared to return to racing, David Reagan was offered a chance to finish out the season in the 55 car, while Brett Moffitt would go back to finish the season in Front Row's 34 car in his bid for the 2015 Rookie of the Year, which he would win over the likes of Burton, Matt DiBenedetto, and Alex Kennedy. For 2016, Moffitt was not re-signed by Front Row as the 34 ride was given to 2015 Xfinity Series champion Chris Buescher, and for 2016, Moffitt competed on a race-by-race basis with Red Horse Racing in the Truck Series, in which he would score 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and 1 victory at Michigan in just 6 starts. This was enough to land Moffitt a full-time ride in 2017 of Red Horse Racing, or at least we thought. Moffitt would score 2 top 10s in the first 5 races, but on May 22, 2017, team owner Tom DeLoach announced that the team was shutting down primarily due to a lack of funding, and Moffitt was once again left without a ride until he would be picked up by BK Racing for the remainder of 2017. Then in 2018, Moffitt had found his way back into business with Shigeaki Hattori in the number 16 Toyota Tundra in the Truck Series, and 2018 would be one to remember as he picked up 13 top 10s, all of which were top 5s, and of these were 6 victories. Moffitt would carry the momentum all the way to Homestead, where he would win the race in the Championship 4, and Brett Moffitt was the 2018 Truck Series champion. However, as great as this was, it wasn't enough to keep him with Hattori Racing. On December 6, 2018, Moffitt was released by Hattori Racing Enterprises to pursue a driver who could bring in funding for 2019, and that driver was Austin Hill, who I will admit has surprised me since taking over that truck, but despite winning at Homestead in 2019, Hill failed to make the Championship 4, meaning no second championship for the team. As for Moffitt, in 2019 he signed with one of the top Chevrolet teams of the Truck Series, GMS Racing, where he has scored 4 victories, 13 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, making the Championship 4 yet again in 2019, but a bad race in Miami resulted in a 3rd place season finish, right behind Ross Chastain and champion Matt Crafton. Over the course of his career so far, Moffitt has proven to be a great driver. However, sponsorships have never come easy, and perhaps that has been the only downfall. Today, in 2020, he is still racing for GMS Racing full-time in a Truck Series after breaking both of his legs in a motocross accident, but has missed 0 races due to this happening during the sport's shutdown due to the pandemic of 2020. And Moffitt has also been driving for the new Xfinity Series team of Our Motorsports on a part-time basis. races, who he was able to score an impressive 6th place finish for in the 6th race of the season at Charlotte. It'll be very impressive to see if Brett Moffitt can continue to compete for the Truck Series Championship this season, especially considering his injury. But that'll do it for this look back at these next 3 drivers in this series. We've reviewed 6 and we'll review 3 more in the next episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Please hit like if you did, it really does help out the channel. If you have any thoughts and opinions on these guys, leave a comment down below. We'll let the discussion continue down there. If you're new to my channel, please go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on notifications so that you'll never miss a future episode. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at DannyBTalks on there, and I stay really active on there as well. And I'm just throwing this out there, I know a lot of you guys love the Rise and Fall series and are very familiar with that Nashville Super Speedway video I did. Obviously at this point we've heard the news, there will be a Nashville Super Speedway to Rise again coming out. Just don't know when that's going to be because I want to make sure I get this one perfect. But until then, I hope you have a great day and thanks for watching. Bye guys.